The debate over protecting women's sports on a state by state basis continues, this time in Texas. There was testimony specifically about making sure that sports stay exclusive to women, biological women, and that men only compete against men in that state. It's an important debate, and we've seen it play out in many other states already as these bills get passed and get signed into laws, mostly in Republican dominated states like Texas. And that's good. This debate needs to happen, and I'm glad it is happening. But once in a while, the testimony really does raise an important fundamental issue that goes well beyond just fairness. I mean, we talk about this a lot, and we've had Riley Gaines. You're about to see Riley Gaines' testimony in Texas about this issue. We've had Riley Gaines on the show. I think she's going to be on later in this week as well. She's become kind of the cause celeb here because she swam against Leah Thomas, of course, the man who swims as a woman now, and they tied in the NCAA swimming championships. And Riley Gaines wants to protect women's sports and make it just women only from this point forward. No young woman should have to deal with what Riley Gaines dealt with. But we often talk about this in the context of fairness, right? Women should only compete against women because it's not fair for a man because they have biological advantages. And that's true, and that should be enough. But there's another aspect of this that needs to be drawn out a bit. And Riley Gaines raised this during her testimony. And I want you to watch this for a moment. And I want you to imagine, not Riley Gaines in this situation, I want you to imagine that this is your daughter, that this is your teenage daughter that you have raised with your values, with your principles, with your faith. And now at a public swim competition or softball competition or basketball competition, whatever sport your child plays, imagine they're confronted with this.
But I asked the official, what are the guidelines for the locker room? And word for word, he responds back, oh, we actually got around this by making the locker rooms unisex, and there's really nothing you can do about it. And so I'm thinking about this, and I'm understanding, of course, what unisex means, which meant that any man could have walked into our locker room. And he just told me I had to smile, step aside, and be kind and inclusive at the expense of my own experience, at the expense of my fairness, my safety, my privacy, my dignity. But in regards to the silencing, yes, the NCAA explicitly, and I have screenshots of what they've said to coaches, administrators, the host reps at that meet at Georgia Tech, telling them they are not allowed to speak out. If they do, there will be retaliation. Leah Thomas's teammates I've talked to at great lengths, they were told, they were forced every week to go to mandatory LGBTQ meetings to educate themselves on how just by being cisgender, they were oppressing Leah Thomas. When they sent an email to their administration expressing their discomfort in the locker room, their administration, and again, I swear I have a screenshot of it, their administration responded back with, if you feel uncomfortable seeing male genitalia, here are counseling resources that you should seek. When their administration told them, you are not allowed to take a stance because we have already taken your stance for you. You will not get into grad school. You will lose your friends. You will never get a job. You'll lose playing time if you speak out. They were told if they happen to use their voice and any harm whatsoever comes towards Thomas's way, whether that be physical harm, emotional harm, mental harm, then they are solely responsible. So these girls were emotionally blackmailed. They're terrified. They see what happens to me when I go to San Francisco State and speak something as simple as my real life lived experience and how it's unfair. Again, nothing opinionated about it. What we're looking at on the paper, how this was not a lateral movement by Thomas. I was ambushed, I was attacked, I was held for ransom for 3+ hours by protesters who didn't want me speaking that voice. So it seems as if I've been this lone voice and face behind this, but I promise you, I speak for 95+% of us. I can wholeheartedly attest to the tears that I witnessed from finishers who missed out on being named an All-American by one place. And I can wholeheartedly attest to that extreme discomfort that we all felt in the locker room from 18-year-old girls exposed to male body parts having to undress with a male watching in the same room. And I can wholeheartedly attest to the whispers and grumbles of anger and frustration from these girls who, just like myself, had worked so hard and sacrificed so much to get to that point.
I want to talk to the men for a moment. Guys, we have a responsibility in our society. We're supposed to protect our daughters. We're supposed to protect our wives. We're supposed to protect our mothers. We're supposed to protect the women in our lives. And our women are in danger right now. And Riley Gaines is doing a great job speaking for herself and on behalf of the women who are dealing with this firsthand. But it's time for us to step up here. They expect this from us. Our women are in danger. They are unsafe. And they need our voices now more than ever. Just recently, Paul Stanley from the rock band Kiss, Dee Snider, Twisted Sister, John Cleese from Monty Python, they stepped up and they said, this is fundamentally wrong. And you know it is too. And it's time to take that stand and stand with women like Riley Gaines, stand with all our daughters and all our wives. And let's end this conversation now, finally. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. In the meantime, I'll see you on the radio.